So, are we taking the car today? Or maybe your place? Let's go to a hotel. On the way back from the hospital, I saw my husband walking hand in hand with a young woman. Who could she be? She was wearing revealing clothes. And I think she was more than 10 years younger than my husband. She doesn't look like someone from his company. Could it be an affair? Even though it was right after returning from a donor test for a disease that had been discovered in my husband, I somehow managed to control my emotions and glared at my husband when he came home that evening and asked, "I saw you walking with a young woman. What is that all about? Betraying me like this is the worst. How can you do something so awful? No. Who do you think you are? Do you think you're such a great woman? Marriage is supposed to be supported by the man. And the moment a woman stops being a woman, it all falls apart. Men always want young and attractive women. What is he talking about? There's no excuse to ruin a marriage for such selfish reasons. It seems he's trying to justify his actions, but it's just an affair. I will never forgive him. I don't need a menopausal old hag like you. Should I just divorce you? Divorce? I've been thinking about it for a while now. You can't get pregnant. As a woman, you're finished. You look old, and you're not attractive at all, so I've been wanting to break up. That's why I cheated and was attracted to a younger woman. It's only natural, right? I understand. Then let's get a divorce. But don't forget, you're the one who's carrying a ticking time bomb inside your body. And who will be there to help you with that? My name is Kim, and I currently work as an office clerk in a small to medium-sized enterprise. Although I work as an office clerk, I initially joined this company as a salesperson. I'm back. Welcome back. How was today? Well, I was brushed off lightly. I'm sorry. It was a project that you had been warming up, and I couldn't land it. Well, don't worry too much about it. It can't be helped, so don't get too down. He was my senior who took care of my training. This person was truly kind to me. He taught me everything from scratch about sales, and I worked hard following his teachings, but I guess my personality, which couldn't speak assertively and shrank from slightly aggressive attitudes, wasn't suited for this. My sales performance was always among the lowest, and I felt uncomfortable within the company. Since it was a small to medium-sized enterprise, we were all trying to increase the company's sales. But I felt like I was the only one dragging everyone down. Should I quit? Maybe it's better to change to a different profession. That's what I had started to think. Excuse me. Can I have a moment? What's up? I heard that you are looking to hire a new office clerk. Yes, that's right. The company has grown a bit, and I want to increase the number of office staff. Do you have someone you know who wants to apply? Not exactly. I was wondering if I could apply myself. I've been trying hard as a salesperson for the past 2 years. But I haven't been able to achieve results, and I feel like I'm holding others back. Even when there are good projects, I can't land them because of me. So if possible, I'd like to work as an office clerk. I see. In my mind, by becoming an office clerk, I thought it would benefit the company if we could fill the vacant sales position from outside. Of course, I felt sorry for my senior who had been nurturing me, but I was also mentally suffering. Understood. I've heard about your troubles from other employees. And I think you can handle a certain level of office work, so if you're okay with it, let's do that. Really? Of course. But about the salary, it will be that of an office clerk. Is that okay? Of course. No problem. All right. After that, I started working as an office clerk, mainly interacting with the employees I got along with. So there was no need to uselessly strain myself or stay on edge. Certainly, the salary was less than when I was in sales. But I could work without accumulating stress, so every day was truly brighter. After that, through an acquaintance, I started dating a man. And both my work and personal life were fulfilling. I promise to always cherish you. Will you marry me? Really? Are you really going to marry me? Of course. I will protect you for the rest of my life. I was so moved by the proposal from the man I was dating that I cried. I had never had confidence in myself, and I didn't think anyone would marry someone like me. Because I had always thought that way, I became very emotional. Although I started in sales, I eventually moved to an office job, which was one of my complexes. I couldn't handle even the basic tasks assigned to me. I had always been a negative thinker. Of course, the stress of work disappeared, but the truth is, my confidence continued to diminish. That's why I vowed in my heart to cherish the man who chose me. Then our married life began, and we were a couple working together. Living a problem-free married life. However, hey, can you cover the living expenses? In return, I'll save money. Huh? Am I supposed to cover all the expenses?
Yeah.
I'll save the rest of the money after taking out my allowance, so that's okay, right? This is my weakness. When spoken to strongly, I can't talk back. Since I only receive a small salary as an office clerk, after paying for rent, food, and utility bills, there isn't much money left. We moved to a reasonably large apartment after getting married. And though it was second-hand, we also bought a car. We had agreed to split expenses equally. Understood. But I'm a bit surprised. I thought we were going to split everything equally. It's easier if you manage all the expenses. I'll manage all the savings, so don't worry. Well, if my husband says so, maybe it's better that way. Plus, if he's saving most of his salary, I think we can save up a significant amount in a short time. I wanted to save as much as possible, thinking about having children in the future. That's why I accepted his proposal. However, after we got married, he started going out more at night. Hello. Aren't you coming home yet? I'm going out for drinks with colleagues today, won't be back until midnight. Again. What? I'm not your parent, don't meddle in my private life. It's my business who I drink with and where, right?
Yeah.
Indeed, we had agreed not to interfere with each other's privacy even after marriage. It's not that I dislike him going to drinking parties. It's just that I'm dissatisfied with him going out without any notice. I come home earlier than him and wait while cooking. I always prepare the bath since he comes home at a set time. I just wish he would contact me. If he did, I would make something simple for dinner and finish the household chores. Then take a bath time, being ready for the meal time. A simple message would suffice. I have mentioned this a few times. But my husband doesn't seem to care. Maybe he doesn't understand because he never cooks or does household chores himself. Also, his personality changes when he drinks. That's why I couldn't say much about it. Hey. Your lord and master is home. Welcome back. Oh, hello. Sorry. He seems pretty drunk. I'm sorry too. Thank you for bringing him home. That day around midnight, my husband came home, escorted by a colleague. He was so drunk he couldn't even walk. You're not a student, please understand your limits when drinking. I was dismayed. It's pointless to say anything now that he's drunk. I thanked the colleague who brought him home and helped my husband to the bed. He fell asleep immediately, and around noon the next day. Hey. Got any medicine? Medicine. Huh? Hangover medicine, obviously. Why don't you understand that without me saying? It's only natural to prepare that if I'm going out drinking, right? I'm sorry. I'll go buy it right now. Run and come back in 10 minutes. What does he think I am? I sighed, but without complaining, I cycled to the nearby pharmacy. It was already winter, and just pedaling made my dry skin sting painfully on my face and hands. If you're going to drink, you should buy your own medicine beforehand. Why do I have to do this? As I went to buy it, I felt a surge of anger towards my husband. I'm back. I got the medicine. Took you long enough. You're always so slow. That's why you can only work as an office clerk. I went out of my way to buy it, and not a single word of thanks. I was astounded by his lack of gratitude, but I wasn't expecting anything from my husband anyway. Well, he's the type to take advantage of others, so probably he doesn't feel grateful at all. That's why he can't even say thank you. I don't care anymore. It's none of my concern. While complaining, my husband took the medicine from me, swallowed it, changed his clothes, and went out again. Going out again. It was a day off, so he could do whatever he wanted. But I wished he would help with the household chores a bit. I do everything on weekdays, so it would be nice if he could help at least on the weekends. Even just one day on the weekend would be fine, but since we got married, he has never helped with the housework. I was timid, so initially, I thought he was a manly person who could lead me, but now it seems he's just selfish and looks down on others. I was getting sick of these days, but that day, something unexpected happened. Can we talk? I have something important to discuss. Something important. About work? No. About my illness. I've been feeling unwell lately, and I often have hyperventilation at work. So, I went to the hospital, and they discovered I have a disease. You're kidding. I always thought he was strong and rarely caught a cold. So I was truly shocked by my husband's confession. I had never imagined that my husband could be sick. However, according to him, the disease had progressed significantly, and he urgently needed an organ transplant. We need to find a donor, and it can't happen immediately, but the situation seemed quite serious. So, you don't need to be hospitalized? I got some medicine, so I'll be okay, for a while, but I still need a donor. You should go to the hospital this weekend and get tested. If you're a match, I'll need you to be the donor. Having heard that from my husband, my heart skipped a beat deep inside. Of course. If there's anything I can do for my husband, I want to help him with all my might. That's how a marriage should be, and it's what I should do. However, if possible, I did not want to be a donor. One reason is that my husband had not been treating me with care as his wife. It seemed he only saw me as a tool to be used. The only time I felt cherished as a wife was during the first month of our marriage. Also, I was scared of undergoing surgery. Of course, with someone in front of me needing a donor, it wasn't the time to be scared of surgery. But being mentally weak, I couldn't make the decision even though I knew I had to. So, what was the result? You are a match. We can perform the surgery on a day that suits you. The next day, I took a day off work and went to the hospital for tests. I hadn't told my husband, but the result was a match. I could save my husband's life, that was the outcome. No matter how little he cared for me, he was still my married partner. Of course, I was scared of the surgery, but I vowed in my heart to donate for my husband. However, on the way back home that day. So, are we taking the car today? Or maybe your place. Let's go to a hotel. On the way back from the hospital, I saw my husband walking hand in hand with a young woman. Who could she be? She was wearing revealing clothes. And I think she was more than 10 years younger than my husband. She didn't look like someone from his company. Could it be an affair? Indeed, my husband often came home late at night. But I thought it was just because he was out drinking with colleagues and seniors. But, could he actually have been spending pleasant nights with a mistress? The reality was, there in front of me, my husband was walking hand in hand with a young woman. This couldn't be happening, it was a complete betrayal of me. My mind went blank, and I was completely panicked, but without noticing me. My husband went on his way. I took a deep breath and somehow calmed my emotions as I went home. That evening, when my husband returned, I glared at him and pressed him for answers. I saw you walking with a young woman. What is that all about?
Ah.
You saw that? Yes. Betraying me like this is the worst. How can you do something so awful? No. Who do you think you are? Do you think you're such a great woman? Marriage is supposed to be supported by the man, and the moment a woman stops being a woman, it all falls apart. Men always want young and attractive women. What is he talking about? There's no excuse to ruin a marriage for such selfish reasons. It seems he's trying to justify his actions, but it's just an affair. I will never forgive him. He had been using me thoroughly, probably because he no longer saw me as his wife. My suspicions were correct. To my husband, I was nothing important. I was just a convenient existence who paid the bills and did the housework and cooking. To take people lightly like that, that's too much. You're not planning to take any responsibility for this, are you? Right. I don't need a menopausal old hag like you. Should I just divorce you? Huh? I've been thinking about it for a while now. You can't get pregnant. As a woman, you're finished. You look old, and you're not attractive at all, so I've been wanting to break up. That's why I cheated and was attracted to a younger woman. It's only natural, right? Ridiculous. What does he think marriage is? And I had never thought he looked down on me to this extent. But having it said so clearly actually felt refreshing. He was sick, and yet he was the partner I married. I thought there might be some fluctuations in my feelings, but I was completely done. Does he want a divorce? Then I'd gladly grant it. But never forget this. I will never forgive what you've done. If you want a divorce, I'll give you one. But don't bother me anymore, okay? You better not come back asking to remarry me. I'm completely cutting ties with you. Understood. With that, I had him submit the divorce papers. The divorce was finalized quickly, and since the apartment was registered in my ex-husband's name, I moved out, ending our life together. I then prepared for a lawsuit for compensation and contacted him a month later. I disliked direct contact, so I had a lawyer who was helping with the compensation claim contact him. But that evening, my ex-husband called me repeatedly. I didn't want to talk to such a person or hear his voice. But I decided to let out all my feelings. I boldly picked up the phone. Hey. What do you mean you were the donor? That was the first thing my ex-husband said. I hadn't told him when we divorced. But the affair had been exposed on the day I found out I could be a donor. If I hadn't known about the affair then, I would have unknowingly been a donor to a betrayer. I thought God must be watching, and I also thought there was no way I'd donate to him. Of course, keeping silent was one option, but this was my revenge. While you were having fun with a young woman, I was worried about you and went for a donor test. It seems I'm a match, but I have no intention of helping a betrayer. No, don't say that. If you don't donate, I'll have to start looking all over again. Please. Then tell me what's in it for me. I see no benefit in donating, do I? It might look like I'm heartless just from the text. But I don't want to sacrifice my body to help my ex-husband. Even if there were benefits, I couldn't bring myself to reach out to my ex-husband. The emotional wounds my ex-husband inflicted on me were deep. And I wanted him to understand that. I was your wife and thought I should be the donor. But who betrayed that? Who is the person at fault here? That's true, but that's a different story. Just your cooperation could save a precious life. Life is equal. Of course, I believe that. There's no difference in the weight of life, and every person holds the same value. However, I couldn't see this monster of desire as a human being. Even if no donor is found in the end, that's just how it is. It would only mean that what he has done has come back to haunt him. I don't feel sorry for him if his illness worsens, and I think he should do as he pleases. If you get better and are left unchecked, more women will end up hurt like I was. Wouldn't it be better if you never recovered? What are you saying to a sick person? You didn't cherish me as your wife, so why should I care for you as a sick person? Don't you see the contradiction in what you're saying? You're the one talking nonsense. What do you think human life is? I have more morals than you. But even denying that, I don't want to help you. Besides, I'm a stranger to you now, so I don't know. Once he realized I had no intention of being a donor. My ex-husband either groaned or began to moan. How miserable. I felt no pity and just wanted to end the call quickly. Is that all? Oh, and I think you've been contacted by the lawyer? But make sure you transfer the compensation properly. That too. That amount of money is ridiculous. It's not ridiculous at all. Didn't you tell me that you wanted to save up, so I should pay all the living expenses? But it turned out you were just squandering it on your mistress. Do you think that's acceptable? It also came out during the divorce that my ex-husband's savings, which he intended as his share of the assets, were almost gone. Since I paid all the living expenses, I had the right to half of the savings. However, since he had squandered it away, there were no savings left. It was clear from the beginning of our marriage that he had been betraying me. I will make sure to get the money I'm owed. I don't have any money. And I'm going to have a lot of expenses coming up. Right. Moving costs, payments to me, medical bills, huh? Can't you afford that? If you knew that, why did you ask for such an amount? Why? Because that's how you take responsibility as an adult. Don't you know that, even after being in the workforce for over 10 years? I'm at a loss for words. Because it's common sense. And if you don't pay, I'll ask the lawyer to take it to court. If you're prepared for that, do as you like. My ex-husband must know he is 100% at fault, but he's probably hoping somehow I'll reconsider. As he is truly in a desperate situation now. No sign of remorse. If there had been even a slight hint of regret, there might have been room for compassion. But it seems that people who betray others will always continue to do so. Wait a minute. Surely that can't be. If you do that, you'll regret it later. You will definitely have a day of regret. So what? No matter how you try to convince me, my decision won't change. But I was gradually getting annoyed at my ex-husband's attitude. Surely he was shocked to find out I was the donor, and he must be regretting his choices deeply. But if he's regretting it, why doesn't he choose to apologize? To truly apologize, isn't that what he should do before making excuses and talking nonsense? Without even an apology, his words to me were, "You'll regret it?" Does he think threatening me will make me agree to donate? With such a personality, really, no one will ever come forward to help him. You see? It's because you only think of yourself that no one wants to help you. You don't think you've done anything wrong, do you? What? if you had even a little regret, you could at least apologize, right? I'm asking if you're reflecting on what you've done to me. Of course. I'm sorry. So about the donor. Normally, you apologize without linking it to the donation, right? Apologize then ask for the donation? Are you joking? Can't you stop joking around? No matter what I say, it's useless. Maybe I was foolish to expect anything. It's pointless to ask such a person to reflect. That's why I chose the option to divorce him and make him pay compensation instead of giving him a chance. I've had enough. It's a waste of time to keep dealing with such a person, so I decided to end it. I don't care what you do from now on, but I will definitely not help you. Keep that in mind. My feelings won't change under any circumstances. And if you don't pay the compensation, I'll have the lawyer take it to court. With that, I ended the call. Afterward, I left all communication to the lawyer, and though I didn't have anything direct to say, his life was quite miserable indeed. Actually, that person quit his job due to a stress-related illness, you know? From stress? Yes. He was scared that if no one donated, he couldn't survive. Of course, his life isn't immediately in danger, but he was apparently under a lot of stress. To think that such a brazen person could feel stressed was a bit surprising. If he could feel stressed, he should have considered my feelings a bit more. Then he might have understood what it feels like to be cheated on. How much stress builds up when you're treated like a tool. Even if he had understood, it might not have changed anything. But he did pay the compensation. I wonder how he managed to pay such a large amount. I think he took out loans. Loans? Yes. He borrowed a considerable amount from consumer finance, and that's how he paid. But now he can't repay it, and he's been contacting people he knows asking for help. He even tried to contact me, but I ignored him. You ignored him? Well, after all he's done to exploit and betray you, my dear friend, it's only natural. It's the retribution he deserves. Not only from me, but he can't even get help from his own friends. Now he's battling not just his illness, but also loneliness. Well, it's entirely his own doing, and I think it's a harsh lesson. How much harm he has done and how much trouble he has caused me. If he can't even understand that in this situation, it's a sign that he's finished as a person. Well, probably being finished is why no one wants to extend a hand to help him. But maybe his mistress will stand by him? Maybe she's his only emotional support? No, they've already split up. What? Oh. Didn't you hear? It seems she was only after his money and has moved on to another man already. I was honestly surprised to hear that even his mistress had left him. But thinking about it, it makes sense. My ex-husband had spent most of his earnings on his affair. That means he was spending thousands of dollars each month. He was just a regular employee, but to his mistress, he must have seemed like an easy mark as long as he was spending so much each month. But she disappeared once she realized there was nothing more to take. Such continuous betrayal might make my ex-husband distrustful of others, I thought. But at the end of the day, it's his own fault. Well, since he's always been deceiving and using me, he can't complain about being deceived and used himself. He did the same thing, after all. Exactly. Well, whatever happens to him now is none of our business. Just as she said, there's no point in thinking about my ex-husband anymore. Since then, I've completely forgotten about him and am enjoying my second life. I'm still working as an office clerk, and the salary isn't high nor the job fulfilling. But I'm needed and appreciated by the other employees. And that alone makes me feel that it's worth doing this job. Sometimes I still think about the donor issue. Of course, considering what my ex-husband did. There will always be people who criticize my decision to refuse the donation. Morally, I can understand if some say my choice was wrong. But everything resulted from the choices he made, and I have no regrets about my decision. No matter how much suffering my ex-husband endures in the future, it has nothing to do with me. Let him continue to suffer. That is the way he can atone for his sins, I believe. Marriage isn't just something on paper. It's a declaration of the intent to cooperate and help each other through anything. However, those who betray that easily will eventually be betrayed by somebody. And what they do comes back to them. I intend to live on, valuing the people and the environment around me. So I don't end up like my ex-husband.